Thales and the dawn of natural philosophy. What if one question could change how we see the universe? In the next 15 minutes, we'll uncover how Thales of Miletus, the first philosopher, sparked a revolution by asking, what is everything made of? Welcome to episode 12 of our 100-part series on ancient Greek philosophy, where we're diving into Thales and the early natural philosophers who laid the foundation for science and reason. If you joined us for episode 11, you explored the origins of philosophy in ancient Greece, meeting the pre-Socratics who traded myths for logic. Now we're zooming in on Thales and his Milesian school, whose bold ideas about the cosmos set the stage for Western thought. Get ready to see how one man's curiosity reshaped the world. Let's dive in. Why focus on Thales and early natural philosophy? Around 585 BCE, in the vibrant port city of Miletus, Thales asked a question that sounds simple but was radical. What is the fundamental substance of everything? His answer, that everything is made of water, marked the birth of natural philosophy, the attempt to explain the world through natural causes, not gods or myths. Thales and his successors, Anaximander and Anaximenes, didn't just speculate. They observed, reasoned, and debated, creating a method that led to science, mathematics, and philosophy as we know them. Their ideas, though ancient, still influence how we tackle big questions about reality, from particle physics to cosmology. Let's set the stage. It's the 6th century BCE, and Miletus is a bustling hub of trade and ideas, connecting Greece with Egypt, Persia, and beyond. The Greeks are curious, seafaring people, absorbing knowledge from their neighbors, but growing skeptical of traditional stories. Myths say Zeus controls the sky or Poseidon shakes the earth, but Thales and his followers want answers grounded in what they can see and reason about. This shift from supernatural to natural explanations is the heart of natural philosophy, and Thales is its pioneer. His work, along with Anaximander's and Anaximenes, shows how philosophy began as a quest to understand the cosmos through human intellect. Who was Thales? Born around 624 BCE in Miletus, Thales was a polymath, astronomer, mathematician, merchant, and thinker. He wasn't a cloistered scholar but a practical man who traveled, traded, and observed the world. Legend says he predicted a solar eclipse in 585 BCE, impressing his peers, and measured the height of pyramids using their shadows. But his biggest contribution was philosophical. He proposed that water is the primary substance of all things. Why water? He saw it everywhere, rivers, rain, the sea, even in plants and animals, and noticed it could change states, from liquid to vapor to ice. To Thales, water was the key to understanding the universe's unity. Why was this idea groundbreaking? In a world where people explained rain as Zeus' tears or earthquakes as Poseidon's anger, Thales offered a rational alternative. He didn't say, the gods make the world. He said, maybe everything comes from water, and we can figure it out by looking. This was a seismic shift, moving from divine stories to natural causes. Thales wasn't entirely right. Everything isn't water. But his method was revolutionary. He showed that humans could use observation and reason to explain the cosmos, a principle that underpins science today, from Newton's gravity to Einstein's relativity. Let's dive deeper into Thales' water theory. He argued that all things, earth, air, living creatures, emerge from water and return to it, like a cycle. He might have been inspired by Miletus' watery environment, with its rivers and ports, or by Egyptian myths that linked water to creation, which he encountered through trade. But unlike those myths, Thales' theory was testable. He looked at how water sustains life, how it transforms in nature, and how it's essential to crops and animals. His idea was simple but profound. The universe has a single, natural foundation, and we can understand it without invoking gods. Thales' approach wasn't just about water, it was about method. He asked, what's the evidence? And how can we explain this? These questions, which we explored in episode 3's critical thinking tools, marked the birth of systematic inquiry. Thales didn't write books. None of his writings survive, but he shared his ideas in Miletus Agora, the public square where merchants and citizens debated. His influence spread, inspiring students like Anaximander and shaping the Milesian school, a loose group of thinkers who built on his ideas. Let's meet Anaximander, Thales' student, who pushed natural philosophy further around 550 BCE. Anaximander wasn't convinced that water was the ultimate substance. He proposed the boundless or apeiron, an indefinite, eternal substance that's neither water, air, nor fire but something beyond our senses. Why? He observed that elements like water and fire transform into each other. Rain evaporates, fire consumes wood, so the source must be neutral, not tied to one element. This was a leap from Thales' concrete water to an abstract principle, showing how philosophy was already becoming more sophisticated. Anaximander's ideas went beyond substances. He speculated that the Earth floats freely in space, unsupported by anything, a bold idea that challenged myths about the Earth resting on turtles or pillars. He also suggested that life began in the sea, with humans evolving from simpler creatures, an early hint at evolutionary theory. Anaximander wasn't just a dreamer. He drew maps, studied stars, and wrote one of the first prose texts in Greek. His work shows how natural philosophy blended curiosity with practical skills, laying the groundwork for astronomy and biology. Next, let's explore Anaximenes, who followed Anaximander around 545 BCE. Anaximenes returned to a tangible substance, arguing that air is the primary element. He believed air could condense into water, earth, or fire through processes like cooling or heating. Think of breath turning to mist on a cold day. Anaximenes saw air as the breath of life, linking it to human existence, and argued that it holds the universe together, like an invisible force. His theory was simpler than Anaximander's boundless, but still rooted in observation, showing how the Milesians built on each other's ideas. What unites Thales, Anaximander, and Anaximenes? They shared a mission to find a single, natural principle explaining the cosmos: water, the boundless, or air. They didn't agree on the answer, but their method was the same. Observe the world, reason logically, and debate. This was natural philosophy's core, distinguishing it from mythology or religion. Their debates in Miletus markets and ports sparked a tradition of inquiry that spread across Greece, influencing later thinkers like Pythagoras and Heraclitus, whom we met in episode 11. Let's zoom out to see why this matters. The Milesians weren't just guessing about the universe. They were inventing a new way of thinking. Before them, myths dominated, like Homer's Iliad, where gods controlled fate. By the 6th century BCE, Greece's trade and travel exposed people to new ideas, from Egyptian mathematics to Babylonian astronomy. Miletus, a wealthy, cosmopolitan city, was the perfect place for this shift. The Milesians replaced "because the gods say so" with "let's find out why." This was the dawn of natural philosophy, a precursor to science and a cornerstone of Western thought. What made Miletus ideal for this revolution? First, its economy. Trade brought wealth and foreign knowledge, encouraging curiosity. Second, its culture. Greeks valued debate, and Miletus Agora was a hub for ideas, unlike rigid empires like Persia. Third, its flexible religion. Greek gods were powerful but not dogmatic, so questioning myths wasn't always heretical. Fourth, literacy was spreading, letting thinkers like Anaximander write and share ideas. These factors created a fertile ground for Thales and his school to ask big questions and seek rational answers. Let's explore Thales' broader contributions. Beyond his water theory, he was a practical genius. He reportedly diverted a river to help an army cross, showing engineering skill. His eclipse prediction, though debated by historians, suggests he studied celestial patterns, possibly learning from Babylonian astronomers. He also used geometry to measure distances at sea, helping sailors navigate. These feats show how natural philosophy wasn't just abstract. It was tied to real-world problems, blending theory with practice in a way that resonates with modern science. Anaximander's contributions were equally impressive. His map of the known world, though crude, was one of the first attempts to chart the Earth systematically. His idea of the Earth floating in space challenged common sense, paving the way for later astronomers like Copernicus. His evolutionary theory, suggesting life emerged from the sea, was remarkably prescient, echoing Darwin centuries later. Anaximander's prose text, fragments of which survive, shows how philosophy was becoming a written discipline, preserving ideas for future generations. Anaximenes, though less famous, added his own insights. His air theory included a mechanism, condensation and rarefaction, to explain how one substance becomes many. This was an early attempt at a scientific process, showing how the Milesians weren't just speculating but trying to explain how things work. Anaximenes also linked air to the soul, suggesting a connection between the cosmos and human life, a theme later philosophers like Plato would explore. His work shows the Milesians' growing sophistication, building a bridge to later Greek thought. Let's try a practical example to bring this alive. Imagine you're in Miletus, debating with Thales. You say, the world is made of fire because it's warm and alive. Thales might ask, why not water, which we see in rivers and rain? How does fire sustain life? This questioning, like the Socratic method from episode 9, forces you to refine your ideas. Try it yourself. Pick a belief like the universe is made of energy, and ask, what's the evidence? Could it be something else? Write your answers and share them in the comments. This builds the Milesian habit of reasoning through observation. Let's address a common question. Were the Milesians the first to think this way? Not entirely. Egyptian and Babylonian thinkers studied the stars and numbers, and myths worldwide linked water to creation. But the Milesians were unique in seeking natural, not supernatural, explanations and using reason over tradition. Their focus on a single principle, water boundless, air, set them apart from fragmented myths or spiritual teachings. They also debated openly, unlike many ancient cultures where priests guarded knowledge. This openness, rooted in Greece's competitive culture, made Miletus a hot spot for philosophy. Another question: why care about wrong theories like, everything is water? The Milesians' answers weren't perfect, but their questions were eternal. Thales' search for a primary substance echoes modern physics' quest for fundamental particles like quarks. Anaximander's boundless resembles theories of dark matter, an unseen force shaping the universe. Their method, asking why, and seeking evidence, is the heart of science and philosophy, as we saw in episode 5's logic. Even their mistakes drove progress, just as wrong scientific theories lead to better ones. Let's tackle an objection. This is just old guesswork. How is it relevant? The Milesians' ideas are more than guesses. They're the blueprint for rational inquiry. When we debate climate change, asking what causes it, we're using Thales' method of seeking natural causes. When scientists study the Big Bang, they're echoing Anaximander's questions about the universe's origin. In your life, when you question a news headline or solve a problem, you're channeling the Milesians' love of reason. Their legacy, from episode 1's definition of philosophy as questioning, lives in how we think today. Here's a historical example. Picture Miletus in 585 BCE. Thales stands in the agora, pointing to a river. All this trees sky you comes from water, he says. A merchant laughs. What about fire or earth? Thales replies, show me how they transform like water does. The crowd murmurs, some skeptical, some intrigued. This scene, though imagined, captures the Milesian spirit. Open debate grounded in observation. It's like a modern ex-post where you challenge a claim with, what's your evidence? The Milesians taught us to demand reasons, not accept stories. Let's apply this to a modern issue, artificial intelligence. Today we ask, what is intelligence made of? Thales might say it's a water-like flow in the brain, based on its fluidity. Anaximander might call it a boundless process, beyond physical parts. Anaximenes might see it as air-like, a dynamic force. Their questions, what's the core? How does it work? Push us to define AI rigorously, just as we do in ethics debates. Try this. Ask, what is consciousness? And list 2 reasons for your answer, plus a counterargument like the Milesians. Share it in the comments. The Milesians faced challenges. Their ideas were radical, and some faced skepticism. Thales was mocked for falling into a well while stargazing. A story that shows how philosophers were seen as dreamy but also curious. Anaximander's abstract boundless confused some, who preferred tangible answers. Yet their courage to question myths laid philosophy's foundation. They weren't perfect. Water or air aren't everything. But their errors sparked debate, leading to better ideas, just as in science. Let's explore their legacy. The Milesians influenced later pre-Socratics, like Heraclitus and Pythagoras from episode 11, who built on their quest for cosmic principles. They set the stage for Socrates, whom we'll meet in episode 13, by showing that reason could tackle big questions. Their ideas spread beyond Miletus, shaping Greek science, politics, and ethics. Anaximander's maps aided explorers, Thales' geometry helped engineers, and their method inspired democracy's emphasis on debate. Today, when you question authority or seek evidence, you're living their legacy. Here's a practical challenge. Over the next week, channel a Milesian. Pick a question like what is reality? Or what is life? And spend 10 minutes daily writing your thoughts. Use their method. Observe, reason, question. For example, if you choose reality, ask, is it one substance, like Thales' water, or many like Anaximenes' air? Share your insights in the comments. I'm excited to see what you discover. This builds the Milesian habit of curious, rational thinking. Let's connect this to our series. Episode 1 defined philosophy as questioning life's big issues, exactly what Thales did. Episode 3's critical thinking mirrors their demand for evidence. Episode 5's logic reflects their reasoning. Episode 11's overview of Greek philosophy set the stage, showing how the Milesians sparked the pre-Socratic movement. As we move to Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, we'll see how their ideas grew from these early seeds. Why does this matter today? The Milesians teach us to question boldly, think rationally, and seek natural explanations. In a world of misinformation and quick judgments, their method is a superpower. Whether you're solving a work problem, debating politics, or pondering your purpose, their love of reason guides you to clearer answers. Philosophy isn't just history, it's a way to live with curiosity and clarity. As we wrap up, think about this. Thales and his school had no labs or telescopes, but their questions lit a fire that still burns. They showed us that reason can unlock the universe's secrets, starting with a simple why. In episode 13, we'll meet Socrates, whose life and ideas took philosophy to new heights. If you're excited, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Drop a comment. What Milesian idea inspires you and why? Thanks for joining me in Miletus. Keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next one.